What's up? Welcome to the block, the Leon block that is. I'm your host, John Tel E. Tolan, and thank you for joining in here. Knowledge of Soul. It'll be great. Today on the show, we have Beth Urano, who's also been here previous times before. And tonight, the topic is revolutions always affect minorities most, but no one really talks about it. So tonight we're going to talk about it with a number of different topics concerning this overlying theme. Destiny and I, before we went on air, we were talking about a number of different stuff, but we started off with I just want to finish this conversation real quick because it was when we're thinking about doing an episode later on about this, but just how there's been stories going on lately, and it's been put out in the media now, so I guess more white people are aware that minorities have never been really treated right or fairly by doctors. We've never been listened to or heard. And when it comes to Western medicine, it's like a big no. We'll do stuff at home. Me, I'm big. I'm good on my tea. I'm good on my vitamins. Like
I'm okay.
Yes. I remedy everything with tea. That's just all to me.
If you've seen like my tea cabinet, you'd be like, "Oh my god, this is too much." Like I probably have a tea for everything, and different kind of honey too, because like I'm very into like natural plant, anything that comes from our earth. I'm very into it. So like I have like so many different types of honey, like wildflower, and like my sister, she's actually the same way. And she was like, I didn't even know they made like wildflower honey. And I'm like, yeah, what? They make every kind of honey. Lavender.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that shit. Have you tried sea moss yet?
I'm sorry, what? You cut out.
Have you tried sea moss yet?
No. Oh, yes. I did once. And I read, I studied it, and actually it's so weird. But there was a rapper, and I can't even remember who it was, on TikTok. And he had became vegan. And it's not Waka Flocka, who is vegan, surprisingly. But I can't even think of who it is. But he like became very spiritual, and he had talked about the growth and all the benefits that it gives to you. And it's really hard to find. We don't have it in our stores here. So I did end up ordering it, and I've been slacking on things like that. But
same. I've yet to try it, but I want to try it.
It doesn't taste very good, but I mean, it's worth it if you can get that one.
I thought it would taste nice and sweet, like honey. I was expecting it to taste good, but I heard you put it in smoothies and stuff too.
Yeah, you can. But if you can get that one spoonful down, you're good. So like, I just kind of choke it down. I've also been very into like apple cider vinegar.
What's up, Lauren? See, apple cider vinegar is good.
I use it for
take like a little
everything, from cleaning to my hair to washing to drinking. I use it for everything.
I can't stand the smell. I mean, but it is good to clean with. It's a good sanitizer. So, yeah, no, I dig it.
It's not harmful.
Right.
I have kids. I have pets. So I know that it's not harmful.
Right. Let's get into this real quick. The first thing I really want to talk about is left and the right, and how we tend to get left behind, I guess you could say, by both sides. Not specifically talking about the parties, but both sides. How do you think it, like, I want to ask you, how does it affect you? How do you think it affects you, if at all?
It does. When I first started this journey, I worked with all types of people. I worked with right-wing Republicans, senators. I worked with state representatives. I also worked with the left, senators, and it all. And when this first had started, and the Black Lives Matter movement blew up after George Floyd, I feel like at that point, minorities and Black people were the center of attention, and everybody wanted a piece of them. We were being pulled in all different directions to talk to this person, and they wanted as much information as possible. And that's when we kind of started making a little bit progress. But within the recent news, I've seen that there's been a huge shift. And it's come from, and it always has come from, white people or rich people. And I can't even just say white people, because it has came from rich Black politicians also. Those that have never
certain mindset,
right? Those that have never struggled. Those that don't know what it's like to have to knock on your neighbor's door and ask to shower in their house because your water got cut off. Those are the type of people I'm talking about. And I've noticed within the most recent news that it has become such a political world that we live in. And that's kind of what set me back and made me say, look, now it's time to watch and observe, because I'm not like this. There is a right, there is a left, but I believe that there are also those people in the middle that don't choose a side. We're humans, and we see that we see other humans for what they are. And so it has affected me. There was a group that I had joined early on this year. And, things used to be like, oh, this is who's running, let's get this man out of the White House. And that was a huge goal for the movement, is to get Donald Trump out of the house. But I think people lost sight that just because we put a left in there, it doesn't mean that things automatically change for us.
right?
And I think that people are expecting that instant gratification. And we're not going to get that. And I've kind of have lost interest in trying to educate people, because there's such this way about the world right now that everybody has a political correctness about them. You're either a left and you're right, or you're right and you're right. Like,
Well, what I think you're speaking of has to do with the world that we currently live in with social media.
Right.
Everyone wants that instant gratification, and everyone wants to be right, because they think that the information they get and where they get it from is
right. Automatically right. But it is coming, we have the left, who is trying to take over and speak for us, which is, sometimes I can't even argue it anymore. I just sit back and I'm like, every time I see something new, my arms are up. I'm like, are we surprised? Like,
right.
Are we, this has been going on our whole lives. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, people are like in this mindset where they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, this happens every day. Like, this isn't new.
This is life.
Right. So there is the right and the left that has affected me, because, the right, we're definitely not accepted over there anymore. We're definitely not. That's not even in question. The left, we're accepted, but only when it's benefiting them. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with being a pawn in your game. Don't use me to get ahead. And I feel like that is what has happened. This election was based on look at, Black Lives Matter. They're being labeled as terrorists. This is wrong. Blah blah blah. You get elected, you win, and now we're the forgotten ones.
Yep.
Now everything's about, the stimulus, COVID, who's right, who's wrong, and we're here like, well, we got you your votes. You won because of us, and
Yeah.
now
And it's like at this we're props. We are props. We're commoditized all the time. But in this instance, we're used as props just to talk about the difference between how different groups were treated. But we're still talked about as if we're not in the room at all. Like they're talking about us over our heads. And it's like, well, don't I get a say in this? Don't I matter? That's what really is frustrating me right now. But I definitely, around this time, there's been so much going on that we've gotten lost in a sauce about. Particularly because things have went back to a national level, that like local problems have kind of went by the wayside again. Like we just had another person of color shot down by police the other day, and it's barely getting talked about, So
was that the January 10th, the pasture?
in Texas,
Yes.
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 See, like there's so much going on, and it's so much distraction. I agree with you saying like it's that time to sit back, assess, take everything in, and come up with some plan or solution in your own head, and then reconvene with other people, exchange ideas, network, organize, so that we can come back stronger. Springtime.
Right. And one of the things, I did notice this summer is that there was a lot of people that just wanted their own organization, their own group. And this is the time. This is the time that we connect with other people, and start knowing people. This is the time you create friendships, so that when we do come back, we come back in numbers. And that's what scares people, is when you come back in numbers. And that shows that you're creating allies and you're building. But again, that's a really hard thing to do when we have the right over here, going crazy, no masks, no blah, blah, blah. They're not accepting anything. And then we have the left over here trying to fight the right. So at this point,
the war.
Right. And at this point, we need to sit back and look at the people that have our mindset. Those are the people that we need to connect with. While we watch the right fight with the left and the left fight with the right, watch those people that are staying silent, because those are the people that are going to listen.
I agree with you completely, but then I think about echo chambers and how we're already so divided. Everyone's only listening to their own respective groups, and so I'm left at the same time like, well, what you're saying, I think of other brown and black people, other minorities to look to in this instance, but when it comes to like people on either side of the aisle, particularly if they're white, I'm kind of like I don't know,
Well, at this point, what I think about is the left can't afford to lose us. If they lose us now, they're losing their argument with the right. So we already have those people. You know what I mean? They're already there. They're already supporting us. We already have them. We have those select few right people that are going to say, well, I don't want to be labeled as a racist, so let me get on board with them. The people that are being quiet right now are the people learning. There is, silence is violence. When you see something, say something. But the people that do use their voice for good, but are remaining silent, I guess there's a line. And you'll know when you find those people. You'll know. It's not those people that are just remaining silent and say, I don't like politics. The people that are remaining silent, but still continuing to use their voice, if that makes sense, are the people that we need to be connected with. Those are the people that are leaders. They're not out here fighting with the right and the left. They're here saying, okay, what can I do? What can I do? And they're thinking.
Sometimes the smarter thing to do is to not say anything at all and just soak everything in and assess.
Right.
And I'm noticing a lot of people still talking, but saying the same thing and getting to the point where they're screaming it and no one's listening.
Right.
Because there's nothing new to be, these conversations have been had, so it's kind of at the point now where we just need to, like, at least right now, we have all these different groups and organizations, keep everyone updated, keep everyone on the same page. And I feel like at some point people, we really have to make sure that we're keeping up on letting the creative juices flow, that makes, and not, we're always going to have that writer's block, so to speak,
Right.
or that moment where there's no creativity flowing, and we've got to do what we can to keep that going. And if you're constantly in the throes of it all and getting jerked back and forth in that tug of war between the right and the left, well, what good is that really doing for people that's continue to be oppressed and you continue to get talked over?
Right. This is the time that I think that white people in general need to take a look at themselves. They need a big reality check. This is the time that we, as African Americans, minorities, Hispanics, we can't be quiet when it comes to continuing to do work. When you get those chain mails and it says, hey, call this DA, this is what's going on, call. This is the time to keep doing action, because when we become complacent while sitting back and being silent, then we're doing nothing at all. We need to do the little things. And I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, it's the chicken shit that's going to get you. So if we're sitting back and we're allowing the little things to slide by, and then we just wait for summer and start yelling about the big problems, it's all those little problems that are going to start consuming us. So while the right and the left are fighting, there's still work to be done. So sit back, watch these two sides fight, but don't do nothing at all. We're used to speaking over us. We're used to that. We're used to white people making decisions for us. We're used to that. So while they do what they do every single day of our lives, we need to sit back and we need to do the little things so that when it's time to come together in numbers, we can shut them down and say, we're not taking this no more. But at least we have all our other problems taken care of.
Right. Oh, you're right. Well, as best as we can, given COVID, but
right.
That's a whole nother topic. Voting, because for the last year was an election year, and we've dealt with dog whistles since before you and I were born. But this election, things got super sticky when you say that mail-in votes are fraud, and Philadelphia and Detroit and Chicago votes are illegal and fraudulent. You're literally saying Black people's votes count.
No, what it is they're not used to that. They're not used to that. They're not used to people being able to get rides to polling places. They're not used to us being able to afford stamps and envelopes. They're not used to us not being so damn depressed that we get up and take our mail to our mailboxes. They're not used to that. So like you said, yeah, they are saying that our voices don't count. But it's only because they're not used to us doing it. Voting's important. Don't allow what other people say to push your voice behind. Look at this as a lesson. Look at what we can do when we use our voices. Please don't just do this with the presidential elections. It is important to vote on your state representatives. It's important to vote on legislators. It's important to vote on senators. Those are the people, you know, a lot of what I did this summer was explaining to people how each branch helps us. Our state representative is the person that takes our community's voices to Harrisburg. Our senators are the people that take what our state representatives telling them that we want to the next step. And the legislators are the ones who are going to make our laws for us. So those are the ones that are going to set our food stamps, our wages, our pretty much everything that us normal ass people care about. Those are the people that are going to make the decision for us. So we can't just be complacent with waiting until an election year, a big election year for, our president, whatever, to use our voices. We have to do this constantly. Like anytime there's an election, please vote.
I think what's extremely important is having a 1-2 combo, which is us fighting to have more visibility in office and also making sure that we're backing that up by voting in all elections as well. Because we can vote all we want to, but we're still propping up mostly white men. So we need to level out that playing field as well. But I used to be that person that just not necessarily say, my vote didn't count, because I still felt like there are people before me that fought hard, blood, sweat, and tears for me to have that right. So I do and always have seen the importance of it. But there were times and certain moments where I did not agree with either party and didn't feel like either party deserved my vote. But with that being said, I also feel like if I don't like those options, I create the option I want.
Right.
Which is someone that knows my unique struggles or something more close to it. And so that goes back to the visibility thing. And there's going to be more things I want to talk about when it comes to all that, because it's really important that we get more youth, especially in all these kinds of things, especially when it comes to voting.
Right. I also want to say, do not allow white people to tell you who to vote for. And this goes back to the right and the left side. Don't believe that you have to stick with one side. Don't believe that if you see, a Democratic president, and I'm just using president because people are so used to, that election. If you see a Democratic president that you want, don't feel that you're not allowed to vote for a Republican senator. You vote for who you in your heart feel will have you at their best interest. I hate that, people think, now that we're so torn in the world that there's a right and a left, that you have to pick a side, because you don't. You can choose who you want. And I see a lot of white people doing that. I see a lot of white people creating that division.
Well, for example, for white people, well, a lot of white people, it's Trump or Biden, or we don't want anyone. But why aren't we all thinking about what we all want for all of us? Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, senators, state representatives, don't just feel that you have to vote Democratic because you voted for Biden this year. Don't believe that you have to do that. Make sure that you're voting every election for who you feel is best for the people you love, for the people that you care about, for yourself. There's more than just a presidential election. And those elections are what's really important.
Right. And I think that's what Bobby was touching on. He said, y'all know what's more important than voting every 4 years for our country's president?
Bobby, if you would have listened, I just said this 5 minutes ago.
He just put it in. Completing the census when it rolls around.
Right.
Yes. That's now we talk.
I don't think that people know that that's where we get our funding.
Yeah.
Completing the census is where we get our funding. I've heard so many people say, "Oh, I don't know why we have to do this. This is dumb. I'm not filling it out."
Right.
Please, please, please. That is how we get money for our public schools. That's how we get money for our communities. That's how we get, you know, money for after school programs such as STEP and so forth. Um, Please, please, please fill that out. That is so important.
And as Bobby's saying, this is critical to our heavily black and brown communities. And the thing is, this past election, which was also a census year, and because of the pandemic, it was extremely hard. They extended the time that they were collecting data for the census. And from my understanding, black and brown and minority communities still got gypped out of money that that is supposed to go to our communities. So this further drives all three of us, our point here, how crucial this really is to benefiting our communities. It's extremely important.
I don't know if people realize there's so many ways that you can fill that form out. One, you'll usually catch a census worker at your door, knocking at your door. They're very persistent because it's very important.
Yeah.
You know, they I believe my children got it sent home with them from school. Um, you know, you'll get it, and I believe you'll get
That's
something in the mail. You can do it online. There's so many ways to do it. So it's
Oh, did you cut out? Did your phone or your laptop die? Oh, come on. Technical difficulties, as usual with Destiny. You there?
yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you cut out for a second. Yeah, it's
I
not
can
an
hear you,
episode without a little technical difficulties.
right?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
I know you're froze, but I can hear you.
You were just froze for a second too. Okay.
Oh
I
my
think
goodness. Okay, yeah. All right. Bobby said, and they don't understand the importance of the census determining the seats each state has.
yes. Yes.
See, I think that we really need to sexify the Census Bureau. And when it comes to like rolling out promotion for such a thing and really getting ordinary citizens to understand, I think there needs to be more education when it comes to that. I think that is a big issue because I think not enough people really know or even understand what the heck it is other than counting the population.
Right. And I also believe that people look at the questions on there and it kind of pushes them away.
Yeah.
You know, and they have, I know this year was such a big thing that, you know, people were like, oh, you know, why are they asking your race on census? It's because that tells us the diversity in our communities, and that's important, whether people believe that or not. That is important. That also gives you more money, whether people believe that or not. It does. So it's important to be honest on them, and it's important to fill them out correctly, and it's important to fill them out on time. It's just important to fill them out altogether. And and that is important just as much as voting. And I don't want to take, you know, census is more important than voting because that's not true. They're equally as important. It's important to have the right people in house, and it's important to fill that out so that we can have the right people in house and have the funding for our communities.
You know, I agree. I see them as two parts of a whole.
Right.
Like they kind of go hand in hand as far as how they're supposed to efficiently work within our society if everyone's doing their part. Did anyone have any further comments concerning voting? Because we're gonna move on to the next topic, and it's a pretty juicy one that everyone has been talking about for the past week or so. Given the events that we experienced, that we've all seen on the 6th. And That day, I happened to be moving, so I wasn't really on social media that much. People just kept messaging me like, "Yo, do you hear what's going on? You hear what's going on?" So I'm like carrying stuff and watching YouTube at the same time, like trying to get play by play.
I forgot I was a mom today. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of was like, yeah, go do your thing, kids. Go destroy the house. I'm watching this today. Like, this is what I need to watch today.
I thought it needed to. It was gonna happen. We saw it. It was like a slow moving train that was bound to happen. But I think what we also saw coming was the comparisons between this riot and see. I knew this was gonna. I knew he was gonna do that. I knew he was gonna do that. So hold on real quick. Bobby said, "Census is more important. Just my opinion. It determines the district lines, which is true. There can be no successful and fair election without a fair and accurate redistribution of district lines." And that is something that I do want to talk about later on another topic, on another episode, is gerrymandering, particularly in the state of Pennsylvania, because of how horrible it is and how corrupt our state is. That is definitely something that we're going to be talking about at some point. Jeff, you want to say?
No. No.
Okay. So the Capitol, I don't even like calling it a riot because it was legit like worse than a riot.
Attempt. If we're gonna compare, let's compare it correctly. If that was Black Lives Matter,
right,
that Capitol would have been burnt the fuck down. So if we're gonna compare it and we're gonna compare it correctly, know that our side, because that's what we do right now, we separate ourselves. Our side would have done it correctly. Our side would have been slaughtered. There would have been a war, and that's just the way it is. You cannot compare the two, because from the very beginning, it was different.
Yeah.
If they would have heard that Black Lives Matter protesters were coming to the Capitol, they would have had, oh my God, the police, the guard, the army, they would have had every fucking buddy there from the very moment that they heard we were coming. They would
even
have
one little flyer uttering anything similar to that, it would have been a complete shutdown.
Right.
So, and just the white privilege and the fact that people are acting as if it was a surprise to them. And then at the impeachment, all these I words, impeachment, insurrection, goodness, the impeachment, there were a number of senators, or were they representatives? I don't know. Republicans that are a part of this whole alternate reality, misinformation of facts and all that, that really...
Stephanie Borowitz, who is my representative. It's wonderful. It's a good time here.
Look, we got Scott Perry and everyone, so it's not, that's all of it's a good deal of Pennsylvania, all the Republicans. Well, at least the ones that, said certain things concerning lumping us all into one and making, some riots and fires that did happen, making it out to be like it was the norm last summer, and that's not true.
First, we're gonna set that straight, because I hear this argument over and over and over again. There was a meme that was like, oh, this is so wrong, and it was the man that was sitting with his feet up on the desk, and there was a picture of a fire, a building burning after George Floyd's death. Let's get it straight. The FBI, those who have investigated, have said that Antifa and those that came from all over, we had police setting up bricks when it was Black Lives Matter. We had Republicans coming in just to burn and loot. We had and I really hate to say Antifa come in and burn shit down because it, it's it's crazy. Okay, I know and I love people that identify as Antifa.
Right.
They have such a stigma behind them. Um,
Yep.
and it's crazy how they've gotten this name, but that's what they call them, Antifa. So they have Antifa coming into Black Lives Matter, and it has been proven that most of these fires that were started at Black Lives Matter protests, riots, whatever you want to call them, were not even from us.
Yep.
They weren't even from us.
Nope.
So
Not
if
at all.
you're going to say that, oh, this is wrong, him putting his feet on a desk is wrong, but this isn't wrong. I don't give a fuck about either one of them in reality, because neither one of them have shit to do with me or what I'm doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
And while y'all all are debating over what's politically correct or what's acceptable or not, or what is better than what's worse than the other one,
we're still
people are
getting
still dying. There are still 4,000 deaths a day. People are still going hungry, losing their homes, and we're still being left in the dust. Of course, we're always at the bottom of the barrel, you know.
I actually, I just posted about that. That's when I had told people that I was taking a break from social media, and I said, your minds are so polluted right now. It's almost disgusting how polluted it is.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to still be doing work for my community. And if you want to help, I'm here. But I refuse to sit back and listen to people argue about it. The Capitol riot, this was so terrible, this was bad. No. And I will never say a riot is bad, because a riot is those that feel unheard, and they don't know how to control that. I've been so angry at the government to the point that I want to storm into the Capitol. Hold on. Kid break.
Ooh. Woo, woo. All right, real quick. Well, I'll just hop into these comments because I do want to touch on this, Bobby. Blood would have been shed from the jump. We would have been gassed and gunned down just marching to the Capitol. We would have never even made it to the steps of the Capitol without gallons of blood, of our blood in the streets. These people sound so dumb when they call us Antifa. Antifa isn't even an organization. It's an ideology. They need to read a book and find Jesus, for real. Agreed. This is the truth. And it's so crazy how Antifa has been like villainized, when had this been World War II, or at least right after, they would have been praised, right? Like, I don't think people realize what Antifa
means. That I've been trying to explain that to people. Antifa is anti-fascist. That's it. That's what it is. And it's crazy that they act like it's this huge organization. I can't even argue with people anymore because they're so misinformed.
Yeah.
I stopped arguments.
Right now we have to stop arguments because it's just people just butting heads because of this massive amount of misinformation that's been spewed for the past several years. We've got to rectify that situation before we can go ahead and have any further like meaningful conversation.
Right. When we also, think about the Capitol and Black Lives Matter and misinformation, I seen something in the news that really, really bugged me. They were saying that this is the first time anybody has ever stormed the Capitol with intentions of overthrowing our government. That is not true. Once again, white people come along and they do something, and the black people are forgotten about. Do we not remember the Black Panther Party? Do we not remember, what was it, 6, 7 guys that stormed into the Capitol by them damn selves? So here we are once again, white people come in and take over. And I'm so tired of it that I'm angry inside, and this is why I have to remain quiet, because I'm gonna say things that really, really hurt people's feelings. This is people that, claim to be a part of the Black Lives Matter movement also.
That's what I'm most upset about, because I don't feel like we should be giving these people that much attention, because they always that's why they're doing this, because they want attention, because they're not at the forefront, or they feel like their voice has been taken away in some capacity. And it's like babies throwing a temper tantrum in the middle of a grocery store.
Right. And I think about certain people in particular, that I've been really standoffish with, that have claimed to be a part of Black Lives Matter and claim to be a part of the movement and claim, to love this movement and to care about this movement and it have some importance to them. But I also believe that now we are seeing more and more that people that claim this movement, some of them have their own agenda.
Yeah.
And a lot of them being our white allies. And I'm seeing that more and more. And it's enough to keep me from saying anything at all.
I hear you. No, I hear you. It's extremely frustrating, because after all we went through, after all of us have went through last year, and then we get to this pivotal moment at the beginning this year, and then boom, like the things that our worst fears, when we think about who we have to look around and who's actually there, are coming to light, just starting to. It makes me wonder, and I'm not being pessimistic here, because I still am looking through this and really hoping that we can come together at some point in some way, or at least start to. But I think that before that, I think the cracks are already formed. So I think, but come springtime, it's going to be a make or break. I think that there are going to be new people that step to the forefront that never were there before. I think, and call me crazy, but I feel like we're going to get a lot of people from the right, because of this that happened, that never thought that far or that deep as far as violence, or they just really thought that they were right. They didn't necessarily think they were racist or anything like that. They just thought they were right. They were just ignorant. I think those are.
Sorry, I'm not cutting off. It keeps cutting it out, so I can't tell when you're going to stop talking. So then I always cut you off. I'm sorry.
Right. You're good.
That has been one of my biggest things since I started There Is No Place for Racism. It has always been me saying this is not black versus white. This is a system versus basic humanity. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that. A lot of people are starting to understand what that truly means. Yeah. This is no longer about us versus them anymore. And now it's going to be all of us versus them. And I think that Black Lives Matter was a big wake-up call about how minorities and Black people are treated when it comes to the system. But now I believe that a lot of people are seeing that that's not what it just is anymore. It's not just Blacks, because let me not take away from that. Blacks are mistreated in the system. There's levels to the mistreatment. There's levels to the mistreatment. But I think that white people now have become angry enough because they're starting to get a taste of what Black people feel. And so now I believe, like you said, we're going to get a lot of people from the right, because at this time now they're seeing what it feels like to have our skin, to be us. And they're seeing the corrupt that comes there. So now I think that when we change, when we come this spring, like I said, this is time to sit back and reflect and see the bigger picture and see where we have to go from here. I think that this is going to be the time when we hit spring that the right is going to start saying, okay, they're not fighting us. It was never about fighting us. It's about fighting them. And that's who we're going to fight too. So we might as well all come together, because like I said, they're going to be afraid of numbers. And the moment that they see us come together with them, and as soon as the left and the right stop fucking fighting with each other and realize, oh, hey, shit, we all want the same thing here. Yes. We just be human. I think that everybody's going to be like, now it's time. My favorite meme ever is the board game, and everybody is underneath it holding it up. And it says, they would, or something along the lines about what would they do if we all just stood up, the game would be over.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
We're all underneath the board, and the pieces are slightly starting to tilt off, and politicians are starting to get scared. They're starting to get scared of their own people. We've seen AOC talk about this, about how the government has set her up, how other politicians are setting her up because she's speaking the truth. There was somebody else I just read in the news, and I can't think of it, who also said that they were fearful that their colleagues would kill them. I think that they're starting to see it. So I believe that the moment people realize that we're no longer fighting against each other, that we all have the same enemy, and we all stand up, it's done. It's over. Things are.
So on that topic that you're saying, there's two comments here that are actually pertinent to what we're saying. Bobby says, how is Antifa the enemy here? We are fighting against the government who has clearly overreached its grasp, and that's what these patriots say they are fighting for. Aren't we both fighting for the same cause? And that's where we went into that topic. And then Nathan says, bonding over suffering can be powerful, but part of me worries about it as foundational. As we resolve issues, does the bond of a shared enemy require finding a new one?
Right. And I agree with that. You know what happens when we all come together? Our government's done. We're starting all over. Now, is it going to be back to who's going to be in power, black versus white? Is that what we're going to get back to? And like I said, now it's time for blacks and minorities to sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. They're going to fight our battle for us, is what's going to happen. And then we're going to be able to swoop in. And we're going to make things right, as they should have been from the beginning. I've seen a lot of people saying that, Black Lives Matter, anarchists wanted to go fight this battle at the Capitol. And a lot of people are saying, no, this isn't our battle. This isn't our fight. This is the time for the white people to stand up and go take care of this. You created this mess. You go take care of it. And I think that as soon as this is done, because that's what's happening right now, and that's part of sitting back and observing. That's what's happening right now is they're fighting with each other. So while they're running around with their heads cut off, trying to figure out who's right, who's wrong, left versus right's fighting right now. Once that's done, and we all realize, okay, hey, shit, all right, these people right here, these people are right. They need to be empowered. They need to be the people that, which the Capitol kind of helped do. A lot of people on the right realize, fuck, these people have been right this whole time. Black Lives Matter has been right this whole time. They've seen the privilege. They've seen what happened. So I think now is the time that, a lot of us had that fear, after we go to the government and, we do what we need to do with them and we start all over, we start a new foundation. I think now we have more support of the right. And that's because of the Capitol, because of that riot. Not that it was some marvelous big thing that was great, but
I also think that is also contingent on how we handle things too, because we started this convo off. I was talking about how bitter, in a sense, I felt not being talked about or not really having a part to play in this narrative right now as a group of people, right? And they're fighting amongst each other, but using us as pawns, essentially. But now that you talk about it, I think it is more important and valuable for us to sit back and watch this happen and think about how, not in a bad way, but how we benefit from this, how we get around this as a group of minorities, to continue to have some kind of success out of this. I don't know how to word that right, but
right. It's one of those hard topics that, you have a hard time explaining, but it's like,
yes.
It's because we're still learning.
Yes.
And we can't pretend that we know everything, because we don't. Um, and the moment that we act like we know everything is the moment that we're gonna fail ourselves. There's always growth that can be had. There's always change that can be made. And I think that's the hard part right now is that everything's kind of scattered and it's kind of crazy watching it. Um, that there's so much changing every day. Rights fighting with left, and politicians are realizing their own people are corrupt, and there's so much happening that like I don't think we ever thought that it would get to this point that other people would see what we see.
Not in the way that it's transpired. No.
Right,
No.
right.
Yeah.
So now we're sitting here like, okay, wait. So where do we go? And every day it's something new. We always think we got the answer, and then as soon as we think we got the answer, boom, something else happens, and then we're like, oh shit, now we really have another answer, and then we're like, oh shit, damn, Donald Trump's being impeached today. Oh shit, now we got to do this. Like,
right. Yeah.
Every day something new is happening, and that's why I say it's really the time to sit back and soak it in to come up with a plan. And then when spring hits and like I said, it's time to take care of the chicken shit, the small shit. This is the time, like I said, to call your DAs and make sure our people are good. Get a pen pal, write to people in prison, make sure they're okay. COVID's a scary time in prison. It's very scary.
I've heard a lot of horror stories, yo.
It's terrible. Try to get the meetings with the state representatives. I know it's hard right now, but try. This is the time to do the chicken shit, the little shit, and sit back and observe so that when it comes springtime and we're all mentally there and we're all okay, that we can fight this bigger shit. But right now, like I said, it is scattermind. We don't have a solution. We're always constantly thinking, And the important thing is to have conversation with like-minded people, because that's how you come up with a solution. Have you ever said something out of your mouth and then you're like, oh shit, that's the answer? Like that's how you get the answer. You have to talk. Sometimes you have to listen, but it's important to have the conversations. It's important to figure out what we're doing right now. And that's why it's so important to not have that mentality anymore that it's just my organization. It's just me. It's not time to have the entitled mindset. It's time to work with other people. And we have to do that. Right now, the world is so divided. While these people are all fighting each other, we need to come together. And that's how it's going to work.
So I want to talk to you about another topic, controversial topic.
If you're not for looting, you might as well leave now, because I am.
What?
I said if you're not for looting, you might as well leave now, because I am. And most people don't want to hear it, but I am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So explain why you are for looting.
Large corporations. I mean, there's not much more that needs said. They rob us every day.
How many billions and trillions of dollars did billionaires make 2020 while we suffered?
People will say I don't agree with mom and pop shops being looted. Depends on which one. If you're not giving back to your community, why the fuck should we care about you? Why? We're done with that. We're not in the world where we do that anymore. We're not in the world where we put other people above ourselves anymore. We're not there.
Let me ask you this. What do you say to the other black folk that are bitching in, excuse my language, but hammering in at their fellow black people in their own city because they're upset that their brothers and sisters are out there looting?
They're just mad that they didn't get the laundry soap and the toilet paper. They're just mad that they didn't think about going and blowing up the ATM. They're mad is what it comes down to. Because at the end of the day, anybody that's mad at that is crazy. I don't have words for them.
But also, I will add that do you think that it's also a matter of indoctrination to the capitalist system that we're in? I mean, a lot of black people that live in the hood may be CNAs, they may be bus drivers, and that's the sense of livelihood that they have to equate themselves and orient themselves in the capitalist system that we're in.
That's if you look
And
at it
so,
that way.
therefore, it's like kind of like a threat to their livelihood if they see someone in their neighborhood looting in their neighborhood. That's my assumption.
We got to look at it as another way. Yes, that's one way to look at it. Okay. Yeah, it might suck, but we got to look at it as the other way. When we shut shit down, we're shutting shit down. And then they know who has the power. Yeah, I mean, it may suck that you're off work. You know, you may not have rent money. You know, I understand that, but there's programs out there that will help. Your company has insurance, and if your company is not paying you, go find a new job because they don't give a shit about you. So if we continue to look at things from their perspective and their way, it's never going to change.
It's like they're shaming the bottom barrel of the people instead of shaming the top people that are making all the money and controlling all the stuff.
Right. Why are you not paying your employees when things like this are happening? Why are you not changing the system when you can? Why? And the crazy thing is it? Are we surprised? Are we surprised the poor people, the minorities, the hoods are being blamed for what these people up here can change? Are we surprised?
Right.
So when anybody tells me that they disagree with looting, they can kiss my ass. I have nothing nice to say to you at that point, because at that point, I can't even understand it. I can't understand.
For me, it's not about them having a a problem with looting necessarily. It's the rhetoric and the tone that they take when they talk about it. Like that's what they focus on when people are out here looting based off of the fact of someone dying, and it's a manifestation of their frustration, and people get frustrated in it's many different ways. Do you know what I mean? So when people are poor and they have a lot of different things coming at them, and something like that, like if someone's death in their neighborhood pops off at the hands of the police, which is another signal of that system that they see of people like crapping on them every single day, it in my mind makes sense that they would say, okay, we're going to go mess up this store, because this store is a symbol equating to the police, equating to the system that just craps on us every single day.
One, I'm gonna tell anybody this. My children die because of the negligence of somebody not being able to do their damn job. I'm burning all this shit down. My damn self. Two, do they not realize that some of these large corporations give to these people that are murdering us?
Yeah.
And you're complaining because we're burning them down?
Right.
They'll build them back up tomorrow. But we can't get our brother and sister back.
There, that's it right there. That's it right there. That is it right there. That's the comparison right there. There is no comparison to getting a life back. So why are you talking about a target when they will build another one?
And my favorite thing is, we've never accomplished anything rioting and looting.
Who said it was to accomplish anything?
Well, first, have we never looked at history? Real, actual history. Not the bullshit history you read in school. Let's talk about that. Yes. The real history. Gay rights. Civil rights. Women's rights. How do you think we got those?
Let's talk about America. Let's talk about when we came here. All the Native Americans' land that we looted and pillaged.
You know, that was another thing, you know, with the Capitol and all this going on. Oh my God, people are doing this to our government. Look at what our government has done to Native Americans. Look at what our government has done to Black people. Look at what our government is currently doing to Black, Native Americans, and Hispanic people. Like, you are really upset because we're out here burning down these large corporations that fund ICE, that fund police, that funded the Dakota pipelines, that are Native Americans are losing their homes. Like,
Say it.
you're mad. What are you mad? What could you possibly be mad about? You know, and that's why when I chalk it up, the only rational thing I can think of is that they are mad that they didn't get out there and they didn't get the fucking products that they wanted. So that's really all I can think of. They didn't get that flat screen TV they wanted for free. They didn't get the Christmas presents for free. They didn't get the
What I see,
because that's all I can think of.
anytime we do something that they don't approve of or they did not tell us is okay to do,
It's wrong.
exactly.
Of course. Because
And they say that without saying it, but it's like an unwritten rule in America.
And if we're gonna compare Black Lives Matter protests and riots and looting to the Capitol, why was it okay for you white people to go do it, but when we were doing it, we were wrong? And it's not okay for us to go rob Walmart, but it's okay for you to go rob the Capitol? Because we're not patriots if we're going to rob Walmart. You walked into our goddamn Capitol and stole a podium. Like, what the hell did you need that podium for? At least I'm going to Walmart to wipe my.
You know, he put it on
eBay
eBay for $17,000.
You know, but you think about it, like, really, what the hell did you take that podium for? The people that are rioting and looting when it comes to the Black Lives Matter, they're going in and stealing diapers, laundry.
I was about to say diapers, laundry detergent.
Yes, they're stealing things that they
Kleenex, yes.
They're stealing things that they can benefit from or that they can take home and give back to their community. They're not taking things for their own personal gain
and if they are, it's probably because they deserve to enjoy some leisurely activities. Whereas the people that are breaking into and rioting in the Capitol are the number one people that show us what white privilege looks like. There is no justification for rioting. They're not saving our country. They're not saving us from Biden or liberating us or any of it.
Right.
There's literally no actual purpose behind it. That, in my eyes, is justifiable, at least.
Right. There is no reason. They're doing it because they're losers. They lost.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're doing it over. They're doing it because they think and it's so crazy. They're doing it because they think that our government's corrupt. Imagine that. Like, imagine that's why they're doing it. What the hell do you think we were doing it for?
Thank you.
Because our goddamn government's corrupt. That's what we were out there doing it for, too. We were doing it for the same damn reason. I mean, if we're going to compare it, at the end of the day, that's the bottom line. We both were doing it because our government's corrupt. We're doing it because our government's slaughtering us. We're doing it because they're taking our money. They're doing it because as we're sitting here fucking suffering, they're profiting. You know, if we look at the foundation and the bottom line, that is why we both did it. I'm not going to say that I disagree 100% that they stormed in the Capitol and fucked their shit up. Good. I'm glad you did it. I'm glad my ass ain't going to jail for doing it. I'm glad somebody.
You ain't going to jail. You would have been dead.
Right.
That's the difference. We wouldn't have thought about that because we knew our repercussions from it.
A little bit lighter. I might have been able to slide past. I might have been able to get through a little. But at the end of the day, we both do what we do because the government is corrupt. They're wrong. I mean, if we look further into it, yeah, they did it because the president's a bullshit loser who lost. Okay, yeah. Dumbass reason, whatever. We can agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, when we look at the real reason that it was done is because they believe that the system is fraudulent. They believe that it's wrong. They believe that it's corrupt. That's what we're doing it for too. And the sooner people start to realize that and instead of fighting with each other about who's right and who's wrong, and we look at the foundation of why we're both doing it, we're going to see that we have a lot more in common than people think. I don't know when they're going to get it. And I wonder if the right and left is going to argue forever. Maybe they'll get it one day.
So, last topic of the night: four parties. And what I mean by the four parties are, on the left side, you've got the Trumpist party, and then you've got the conservatives, the original, well, what we grew up in our generation as the Republicans. And then on the left side, you've got Democrats, regular Democrats. You've got progressives, BLM, and I would say free thinkers, Antifa.
Oh, Drennan. No. Well, you have to. I don't have a remote. Drennan has it. Go tell him. No. Okay. My kid is obsessed with Coco Melon. I'm so sick of hearing it all day long. That's all I hear. Coco Melon. Stupid ass baby show.
Yeah, so like, what do you think about the cracks in these parties and what that means for Black and minorities that are trying to get into office?
That's hard because that's one of the things that has held me back. And I think that's a thing that has held so many people back is that they look and they say, am I going to get the votes? Are people actually going to vote for me? And in a world that things are so divided, it's hard to say yes, that I would even be able to get those votes. Hey, go ask Brennan. No. Well, I can't help you if you don't go ask him. No. Go tell him. No. Well, then what would you like me to do, homeboy? Huh? I can't do nothing. That I don't know. That's a hard thing because, like I said, we're so divided right now. I've already spoke on, where we stand when it comes to this. I've spoke on, what this means for us. Where we should go from here. But getting Black people in the office, go get him. Stop yelling. Drennan, turn on Coco Melon. He's turning it on. Go out and get it. Man,
it's too cute.
I want to punch kids sometimes. Nobody takes that serious. Don't call authorities on me. I'm not going to punch my kids until they're old enough to punch them. Anyways. No, it's hard to think, the good thing is, the only thing I can think of is that after, the Capitol riot, a lot of people's minds have changed. The conservatives are not so infatuated with Trump. That those are the people that I think are going to come together with us. Those are the people that are going to see, like, they've been right. The Trump people, they're delusional. They are delusional. There is no convincing them otherwise. And the sad thing is Donald Trump has admitted he loves the uneducated. And that's what those people are. They're uneducated. So when we take out the actual conservatives, the real Republicans, we have that one little group that's left. And they're not very high in number. So,
I disagree with you. I sympathize, and believe it or not, people are going to be like, what? But I sympathize with conservative Republicans. I've never found them, like, I disagreed with them? Was there a time when I thought George W. Bush was the worst person in the world? Yes. But Donald Trump completely blows John McCain and George W. Bush and Mitt Romney out the window completely. So they're not. Yes, I don't have a problem with them anymore, right? But when it comes to looking from their side at things, you still have to think about survival of the party, and they need the Trumpists. So I think they're really trying to figure out a way to like tone them down and like polish them, which is not going to happen.
Well, I think, with the recent news, that I think that they're realizing they can't do that anymore. I think that is what happened this whole election. Um, I think that they, prettied them up and, made them look like good people. And I think that's what happened. But now that the election's over, I honestly believe that, a lot of people are saying, you're witnessing conservatives or Republicans quit or resign from their positions. And I think that's because, at the end of the day, a lot of people will be like, whoa, that's crazy. But I have voted for Republicans in the past. Not on a presidential level. I've never voted for Republicans, but I have on other levels. Um, and I think that there are good Republicans out there that will now say, like, this is not what we're about. One of the running Senate, Margie Brown, actually, she was a Republican at one time. And I absolutely loved her. Unfortunately, she lost this election, but she was absolutely amazing. Hearing her speak was like listening to myself. I don't think that all Republicans are bad, and I think that Republicans are like-minded people sometimes, and I think that they can see when there's things wrong, just as Democrats could. I feel like Democrats can also say, "Oh, wait, no, this is wrong. We got to come back together." And I think that we're going to reach that point eventually. Do I think that we'll ever get the support of the Trumpsters? No, because those are the white supremacists, the KKK, the neo-Nazis. Those are the uneducated. Those are always going to be the people that 10 years from now, they're going to say that election was cheated. Trump won. And that's such a small portion. And so in reality, for once, if we look at it in a different way and not victimize ourselves, we can say that Black people, in a sense, are not forgotten this time. That those Trumpsters are the ones who are going to be forgotten.
I agree with you and disagree with you, because I will say going into this next administration, we're going to be the hot topic of debate again.
Right. We're gonna be forgotten in a sense, right? But when we look at it from that perspective, when we look at the four parties, is what I'm saying. When we look at the four parties, Black Lives Matter, the Democrats, and the Conservatives will all still continue to move on. We'll be a tough. Hey,
right.
Jordan, put CoComelon on. He's putting it on.
This is the issue. If we don't acknowledge that these people and what they stand for and what they have been doing to this country, because it's the foundation of our country, if we don't address them as an issue now, we won't be able to continue on without them. Does that make sense? Like the rest of us that are trying to come up and,
the good thing
have
is
bipartisan agreements, without them, like, we have to address them before we can keep going on.
Right. The good thing, damn boy, don't do that. You're trying to fucking flip me. Anyways, I hate these kids, man. I bad enough. The good thing is that I think, like I said, within the recent news that people are seeing, this is a problem. But we have representation that is addressing this. Like back again, I love AOC. She's a real one. She is addressing this. She is saying, hell no. Now you guys see what the problem is. We have Mr. Street, who I believe is Philadelphia area. Maybe 76th district, I believe, who is also saying no. He's a very educated Black man, and he's saying no. Like we see what happened here. We see the white privilege. And I think that there are people representing us as people, as minorities, that are saying, like this is wrong. But I also think that it's one of those things that I think the whole world's seen it. Um, you know what I mean? I think that the whole world's seen it. Um, and I think it's one of those things that we need to say, how long are we going to spend time on this? Spending too much time on a topic is not always a good thing. We need to say, this is what happened. This is how we need to change it, and it needs to be done. And if it's not done, that's where we have 4 days until Biden's in, and we're not going to get nothing done within those 4 days. It's not going to happen. It's not. There's bigger things that they're worried about. Black people are down at the bottom. You know what I mean? We're down at the bottom of what their priority is right now. We have 4 days. After that 4 days, then people are gonna want their stimulus. They're gonna want the COVID vaccine, and then Black people are gonna come back up. That's what's gonna happen. That's just the reality of it. We've always been pushed to the back burner, and then we can't act surprised. But I think that when that time comes, I think that by that time it'll be spring, and that's when we talk about the bigger shit. Until that time, work on the little shit, and then when it gets to spring, then we can say, hey, look, this is what happened at the Capitol. Now we're addressing it. Now it needs to be dealt with.
So I will say, is that your what is your message to Black people as far as like Black Lives Matter people? What you think that should be doing in the
help your people. Take a break from the news and help your people. One of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm doing a food drive. I'm collecting food to donate to local churches to give to people that may not have food or whatever, hygiene products. And I'm giving back to my community right now. Focus on your community. Right now, they're not getting attention. National news is getting the attention. Local news is it's not getting attention really. Work on your community right now. Work on yourself. Work on your mental health. Get healthy and get prepared.
I agree 100% with all of that. Actually, I also want to talk a little bit about what you do before I hop off of here. So you run the page There Is No Place for Racism on Facebook, which is a phenomenal page, and you actually post a lot of great information. What else do you actually do?
What don't I do is the real question. I started the diversity board here in Clinton County, which is me and a bunch of stakeholders. So we have representation from commissioners, police department, sheriff's department, city council, our mayor, our school board, our housing coalition, pretty much any part that we feel that anybody would be affected by, any constituent would be affected by. And that is a group of people that will come together. We all meet, and, we all point out things that need to be changed. We break off into smaller subcommittees and work on certain things, collect data for where our people need help. And we try to build from there. So this is something that has never happened here before. We're a very conservative neighborhood, our county, mostly a red county. So it was very hard to get the attention of people to listen. But I can say that our county has done an amazing job of listening. So that is something that I've started here. I volunteer my time as much as possible. I try to stay educated. Um, I work with the university on certain things, which Lockhaven University is kind of a big university when it comes to diversity and having trouble keeping African American students, especially from cities here. Working with them. I also try to branch off and connect with other people as much as possible. I'm also am like I said, I give back to my community as much as possible. I started something here in Clinton County called Clean the Streets, or Clean Up Our Streets, which was when Jacob Blake had been shot. Um, it really impacted me, and I had thought about my brother, and one of the things that I thought about was, people were bringing up everybody's criminal past. When the police would kill them. And they would always say, "Oh, good job, they're cleaning up our streets." Um, and so I took that literal and I ran with it. So I got a group of my people together and said, "Cool, every Sunday now we're cleaning our streets. They want our streets clean, we're going to clean our streets." So we would clean up every Sunday. We kind of stopped because of COVID. I also try to give those on probation and parole as many opportunities to complete community service as possible. So anytime I do anything that has to do with community, I always reach out and say, "Hey, anybody need community service hours?" Those are my first go-to people. It's important to work with those people in the system. I also try to write or find people. I did something called I don't even remember what I call it. I make up crazy names sometimes. But I did something where people had signed up, and I gave them a pen pal from state prison. And it was somebody random.
That's a great idea.
So they wrote to somebody in prison and kind of became their pen pal. I also, like I said, I am currently right now doing a food drive. So I'm collecting the food right now and the hygiene products to be able to donate back to our community. I also do little things that I don't like to put on camera. One of the big things is I like to go to the city as much as possible. Usually Kensington Beach, where a large population is affected by drug addiction. And I like to just give out hugs, give out blankets, give out whatever I have at home that I don't need anymore. Give back coats or anything. There's a lot of things that I do that I don't like to put on camera because I feel that it's important not to have everything that you do put out there. I also, as much as possible, every 3 months, I clean out my kids' toy box and donate the toys. Just little things that I do that I try to give back to my community as much as possible. I wasn't always a great person. I've made a lot of mistakes.
Y'all have.
Right. Another thing that I am looking to do, which will be coming up. So you're the first one. This is exclusive. I am looking for single mothers that are going to be willing to do pretty much like maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks a counseling session, I guess, our group session via Zoom. And talk to each other. I know that sometimes it can get hard as a single mom and you can get down on yourself and beat yourself up about a lot of things. So single moms are dear and near to my heart as I am one. So once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'm looking to start to do a group session with single moms. And another thing that I will have coming up for Black History Month is I am going to be doing a what are they called? A book session? Not book session. What the hell are they called? I can't think of it. No, a book group. Not a book group. What the hell are they called? I cannot think of the word right now.
Like a group that reads a book together and they talk about it. Like a book club.
Book club. Jesus. I'm gonna be doing.
I couldn't think of it either myself, so no, you're fine.
I'm gonna do a book club with free books online, so you don't have to go out and buy books.
Yeah.
With a so then we'll meet once a week and talk about and discuss the book, but it'll always every time will be an African American author. So that's something that's coming up. Those are 3 things that I have in work right now, while being a single mom. So anything that you guys want, it's definitely possible. Just put your heart to it.
I can definitely agree with that. I mean, for one, being busy is best. Keeps you on your toes and you don't stay stagnant. But I will also say if you want to be a fighter and you want to continue to fight for your people, you don't give up. And you just do all that you can, no matter how small the act is.
Sorry, this is huge. I actually am writing a book. I've been writing a book now for 2 years, and I almost forgot. My book is almost finished. It will be finished by March.
Yes.
That's huge. How do I forget that?
Actually, speaking on that note, when we get off here, I have something I'm going to tell you too. Because I've been working on a lot of things. I just haven't been vocal about those things yet because I'm not ready to just, put them out there for everyone to know. But there are some really awesome things I got going on. So when we get off of here, I will talk to you about them too.
Yes, I'm excited. How do I forget that I'm writing a damn book and to tell people it's almost done? Like, that's so huge. Like, little
That's
old
because
me.
you're so busy. But no, to other people, it's like, oh my God, that's huge. But to you, you're like, oh, I'm just writing a book.
Yeah. It's because, my book is really my story. It's about my whole life, being a foster kid and what that was like, and, having parents that were addicts, and, watching the people you love suffer the system, and, watching, somebody that was like a father figure to you, my brother, all I had was when I was a kid was my siblings, and, watching his struggle, and watching my sister, and my sister had leukemia, and talking about that and what that was like, as a child, with a parent that was an addict, and what that was like. And so to me, it's like, it's a journal. I write what I'm thinking that day. So for me, sometimes I like almost forget, like, this is the whole world's gonna read this.
If it wasn't for Anne Frank, we wouldn't have had a glimpse into what life was like during that time period.
Right.
So
Stigma on foster children and foster parenting and adoption that a lot of people don't know what it's like. Me and my sister were actually talking about it, and it's so funny because we think about it. It's so funny now that, like, Mother's Day, people would be like so sympathetic. They would be like, "Oh, happy Mother's Day," and then they're like, "Oh, never mind." I'm like, "What? My mom's not dead. Like, she's not dead. She's still there." But, like, because I was a foster kid, people couldn't comprehend. Like, I still had a mom. I just didn't live with her.
Things like this, we have to keep the conversation going about, and doing things such as you're doing as far as sharing your story. And I want to say that to everyone, anyone watching, sharing your story is the most important thing as a person of color that you can do. What is inside your mind is limitless possibilities. Don't let yourself restrain your thoughts to just your mind and within yourself. Talk about it, be about it, share your story with everyone, talk about to anyone who will listen what you've been through. It's important, and your voice matters.
I was told one of the best things I was told was, "Boy, get out of here." I was told, "No, you're not getting them. Get out of here." I was told in rehab every day to share my story with somebody. Whether it's 5 minutes of my story or 5 seconds of my story, just share a piece of my story with somebody every single day. And that's so important to do. I know that when I leave, I know that I'm leaving something behind. I know that I'm not going to be forgotten. Yeah, what the hell? This is my life. I literally just got a fresh new diaper thrown at me. Like,
you know what time that is. You know he's telling you. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you get off of here though. I just again want to thank you always for jumping on and chatting with me. it's always great conversation with you. And you're someone in the community that I respect. I know that you're doing a lot of work. It's nice to get caught up on what you're doing because I know you've been doing a lot lately. So when we hop off of here, just make sure that any of the platforms you see it shared on, drop your plug. It's important for people to know what you're doing as well. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you. I just want to say I love you. And to all the viewers and everyone, I love you as well. Please keep watching. Also, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe to all my platforms. I've got Facebook, I've got YouTube, we've got a Spotify podcast titled The Anarchist Newsletter. I've got a Twitter up now as well. And all the links are provided in the comments below. And also Destiny's page is drawing a blank right now.
There is no place for racism.
There is no place for racism. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I put the tag and link for your page as well in there. So everyone make sure you go check out her page. And we'll send her a request. But it's great material. It's great. Hi. What's up?
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Look at you. You're famous.
Hi.
What's up, man? I'm Dontel.
Say, I'm Elijah.
Yes, I watch it.
Nice to meet you, Elijah.
He's never going to forget this.
Yeah.
Good. I can't wait to see you someday soon.
All right. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, love.
All right.
Be safe.
Thank you. See you guys. Thank you. I'm so proud of you, by the way. I'm really happy for you.
Back at you, girl.
All right. See ya.
All right. Be good. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the Leon Block. Now go be great and make it a good one.